everyone, and thanks for watching. This is the first presentation of the second part of the class, which is about the theory. So the first part was about concepts, as you know all now. So we saw how a case could be considered as an instance of a concept. Theory is basically about linking concepts together. Let's start with the text of WHETTEN from your reader to define what theory is. WHETTEN says theory consists of boxes or elements, so he has quite a graphical representation of what a theory is. Most of the time, when you want to provide a graphic representation of a theory, you would make boxes with one keyword in it, this keyword being a concept. These boxes, according to WHETTEN, are connected to one another on some ways. They are interrelated, interconnected. Generally, this connection, from a graphical point of view, will take the form of arrows. So you would have basically on a sheet of paper a number of boxes related to one another with arrows. Final element of theory for WHETTEN are some reasons to believe these boxes are effectively interrelated. These reasons can be empirical evidence, logical reasoning, institutional realities, or whatever. Right? Van Til adds some element to this definition. For Van Til, theory is first a set of assumptions. Assumptions are points of departure. The validity thereof is never called into question. We just accept it. If you, for instance, have a theory stating that groups will do this and that, the assumption is that groups exist and groups have ontological existence. You will never make empirical research onto the assumption. You take these for granted, right? So you could say the assumptions constitute a frame. Inside this frame, you will have the boxes of WHETTEN with some arrows inside it, between it, sorry. So the model consists of interrelated concepts. And last item for Van Til is that you are able to draw hypotheses and predictions from a theory. For instance, if we take a stupid theory like blonde people have better results, you should be able to predict by looking at the hair color of people in the class who is going to succeed. This is a prediction. To summarize that, a theory is a set of interrelated concepts. This set is independent from empirical realities. You can explain a theory without having to resort to cases, right? You can just tell a story of all concepts are interrelated. The theories is the function thereof is to make sense of empirical reality, and they can do that under certain assumptions. More pragmatically, and I think that's very important for you to know, a theory is a range of factors through which you will systematically analyze your cases. This is a mistake we often see in master theses, that of course everyone has to do a theoretical chapter, so there is a tendency just to sum up what has been written about a certain topic, and then comes the empirical chapter, which is actually not related to this theoretical discussion. So if you think, for instance, that Europeanization has to do with objectives, with implementation, and any other concept you would put into the theory, well, if you mention these factors, you are expected to study your cases through these factors. Right? If you consider that your case is an instance of lobbying, if you link the concept of lobbying to the concept of access, to the concept of interest or whatever, And if you mention these factors in your theoretical framework, well, when looking at your cases of lobbying, you are expected to look at these cases through these factors you have identified in your theory. So we expect a coupling between theory, theoretical chapter, and empirical chapter. To put it graphically, sorry for that, we started from the case, okay? Very concrete stuff happening in real life. Conceptualization is the operation by which you link this case to a concept. You say, okay, terrorist attacks, that's an instance of terrorism in Europe, that's an instance of failure of security forces, an instance of a lack of coordination, whatever. That's this operation whereby you consider your case as an instance of a concept. When you look at the literature related to your main concept, you will find many associations, right? When one speaks of coordination, one generally speaks of structures, of also of platforms to exchange views or whatever, right? These interrelated concepts taken together constitute your theory. And the function of the theory is to identify the factors through which you will analyze your cases. To make these points even more clear, so this is a very classical theory taken out from the book of Pollitt and Burkhardt on public management reforms. It complies with the definitional attributes just mentioned. It's a set of concepts, objectives, inputs, activities, outputs, all related in a certain way through arrows, right? And there are some assumptions behind that. Basically, that an organization or program is a production process. Okay? You should distinguish a theory from a typology, right? This is a typology. This comes from Wood, and it refers to the values that could guide public administration. It's from his famous article on your public management. This is no theory. You don't have a relation. That's more metrics, right, with some columns and some alternatives. Actually, a typology, if you go back to the concepts part of the class, typologies are one step down the abstraction ladder, right? We spoke then about political regimes, saying you have democracy, you have authoritarianism, etc. This is a typology of political regimes. We'll come back to this later. For the moment, you need to retain two stuff, the theory. These are boxes linked to one another through causal relations on the one hand, and second, the theory gives the factors through which you will analyze your cases. Thanks for watching.